Africa. How are you doing? I hope you're doing great, Mama.
The great pioneering contributions of 3 African American Amazons called human computers contributed or made an impact in putting America on the map in space exploration in the early 1960s. Remember, we are talking about an era when racism was still high, when African Americans were still regarded as less than human. Hello, greetings. I am Harry Agena with the Afroscope Project. And that's where we bring the African ways of life to the world. Today, I am bringing you another edition of our series titled Afrocentric Titbits. And that's where we talk majorly about some contributions of the African people to the growth of the world. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. And when we talk about African people, we are talking about Africans on the continent of Africa, as well as Africans who live outside the continent, which is called Diaspora Africa.
Beautiful continent, beautiful people. Africa gets everything.
And of course, you can't talk about Africa diaspora or diaspora Africa without America, which has the largest and the most prominent concentration of Africans outside Africa. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. And so today, I'm coming your way with some contributions or a specific contribution of the American blacks to the growth of the world. And you know, this series is very important for the fact that African people are kind of looked down on around the world. They were called, they were looked as not being, contributing much to the world, where the reverse is the case. It's not true. The African people have a lot to contribute, or had a lot and still have a lot to contribute to the growth of the world. This time around, I'm talking about space exploration or space travel and the contribution of African Americans to early space travels or space exploration in the early 1960s. And what makes it more interesting is the fact that it's actually women. So it's not just the being Africans who are looked down on, but also women who generally around the world until recently have been seen as second-class citizens. And unfortunately, that means that a lot of the things that women contributed to this world are never taken seriously, or were never taken seriously until the revolution, kind of, that gender revolution that now talks about the fact that what a man can do, a woman can do sometimes even better. And that's a fact. So that's why it's interesting to talk about these African American women who made heavy marks in terms of space exploration in America. And you know, of course, that America and Russia started as competitors in terms of who's going to go to the space first, who is going to do more in terms of space exploration. And America made its mark, and part of that was due to very, very, very prominent contributions of some African American women who are, or who were named human computers. And you're going to see why they were named human computers. Okay? And so, that's what I am talking about today. And with that, there's a reference, a Hollywood movie made in 2016 titled Hidden Figures. And the reason for that title is because these women who contributed so much to space exploration in America were kind of, not celebrated because they were first black and then secondly, they were women, who have always been seen mostly as second-class citizens, in the world, besides seeing them as homemakers, as wives. Now, I'm going to start with the introduction of America's space organization called NASA. That's acronym for National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA. Let's introduce that. NASA is the body responsible for America's space exploration, including missions to the moon, Mars, and the asteroids. NASA is also responsible for scientific research about the Earth and the universe, as well as development of space technologies. Before we talk about the Amazonian African Americans, let's give you brief background history of the early or pioneering space travels in the world. The first human to ever travel into space was a Russian named Yuri Gagarin. On April 12, 1961, he traveled once around the Earth within almost 90 minutes. Just under a month after the Russian travel, on May 5, 1961, America's National Aeronautics and Space Administrator, NASA, sent Alan Shepard into space in an attempt to orbit or travel around the Earth. However, Shepard was only able to go halfway around the world. And then, on February 20, 1962, American John Glenn made a complete travel around the Earth on American NASA's spacecraft named Friendship 7. He orbited the Earth not just once, but 3 whole times, and he did it in 4 hours, 55 minutes, and 23 seconds. So now, let's dive into the focus of the day, which is the 3 Amazonian African Americans called human computers and their great contributions to NASA's space exploration in the early 1960s. They are known as human computers, and they are described in the 2016 Hollywood movie as The Hidden Figures, which is the title of the movie. You will get to know why they were given those names in a moment. The names of the human computers were Dorothy Vaughan, Mary Jackson, and Katherine Johnson. Dorothy Vaughan was born in 1910 and she died in 2008. She worked at NASA from 1943 to 1971. She was the first African American supervisor at NASA and one of the very few female supervisors at NASA. She led the West Computing Group at NASA's Langley Research Center. The group was comprised strictly of Black American females, whose expertise earned them the title of human computers. Dorothy evolved into an expert in Fortran programming, and Fortran stands for Formula Translation. It's a programming language designed for numeric computation and scientific computing. Mary Jackson was born in 1921. She joined NASA as a mathematician in 1951. She was a member of the Human Computers, and she became NASA's first black female engineer in 1958, where she remained until she retired in 1985. She worked on wind tunnel experiments and spacecraft design. Her mathematical calculations were so ingenious and so trusted that she had to cross-check and confirm the calculations of computers before they were applied in NASA operations. Her contributions earned her the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2015 and the Congressional Gold Medal in 2019. She died in 2005. Katherine Johnson was born in 1918. She joined NASA in 1953 as a member of the Human Computers, where she worked as a mathematician who calculated trajectories or the path followed by spacecraft in transit, including Apollo 11's 1969 landing on the moon. Katherine Johnson was at NASA until her retirement in 1986. She eventually died just about 5 years ago in 2020 at the age 101 years.
Beautiful continent, beautiful people. Africa gets everything. Make we know the jackpot.
Now I'm going to tell you something about the ingenuity and the trust that NASA had in the African American Amazonian human computers. John Glenn, who orbited the Earth 3 times in 1962, the pioneer, John Glenn, insisted that Katherine Johnson, one of the Amazonians, had to cross-check and confirm the computer figures of the trajectory around the Earth to orbit the Earth before he left. He trusted his life in the hands of those ladies. So he insisted that they must confirm whatever the computer said before he left. And sure enough, he went and came back safely based on the manual computing of Katherine Johnson. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Everything yakao for inside Africa. Hey, everything we do. Human resources we do. Natural resources we do. Good word and call we do.
This whole thing would be very incomplete without the mention of the obstacles, the suppression, the maltreatment that these ingenious African American Amazons had to go through even as they struggled to contribute their ingenuity to space exploration in America. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Remember, we are talking about an era when racism was still high, when African Americans were still regarded as less than human. And now there we have something called double whammy. Not just that they were African Americans, but also the fact that women generally all over the world were mistreated. There was no gender equality that we have now. It was still high then. So it was a double whammy where these women were women in the first place, okay? And then, in addition, they were black women, African American women. And when you talk about black, let me talk about the word Negro, because that was when the word Negro was still high. The American Caucasians were calling African Americans Negroes, and that even escalated to even a more degenerating word called nigger. But let me clear something first, okay? It's necessary to understand that the word Negro on its own is not a bad word. It's just Spanish and Portuguese name for black. No bad implication, no negativity there attached to it. It was the racist Caucasian Americans who looking for ways to make African Americans less human that attached the negativity to it, making it look like it was something horrible. Okay? And that's their way of dehumanizing African Americans. And eventually, of course, when things were progressed, the word was generally dropped and replaced by the phrase African Americans, which is less dehumanizing. Okay? But anyway, the point here is that these women had to go through all kinds of maltreatment, all kinds of unfairness to even contribute their ingenuity to the American space exploration. Okay? And they had to fight for their even promotions. Remember, another factor there. Another factor there is the fact that the Caucasian Americans, especially the guys, the male Caucasian Americans, were jealous. It was like a situation of how could these niggers, how could these Negroes, all these less than human women, not even men, but women, come and outshine us and get promoted more than us and show their ingenuity more than us. So there was that jealousy to suppress them. But they still shined, didn't they? Yes, they did. All right? They now eventually, of course, when some objective, good Caucasian Americans started to say, no, these women have something to offer. Let's give them their due. Let's promote them. Let's give them what they deserve. That's when things started changing a little bit for them. Okay? So, anyway, that's where I stop for now. And before I go, please remember to share us. Remember to like what we're doing. Remember to comment positively on what we are doing, so that we will be encouraged to continue to bring you these things that you need to know. It's good for you, your knowledge, to know about the world of Africa. Okay? And until I come your way again with Afrocentric Titbits, this is where I stop for now. And thanks for watching. Bye for now.
Make we come together and build Africa. Hey,